All right, so we got a deal today. We have a deal in 107 Wharton Lane, Columbia, South Carolina. And this is a sub-2 deal. And today I want to show you guys how to quickly rule out that this is not a deal, because here's what I would look at right away. And this is all in the purpose and for the purpose of not wasting time. Hey, Freddie, how you doing? Good to hear from you. So what I got here is a sub-2 deal. And when I looked at a PITI, the first thing I would do, and I'm going to underwrite this so you guys see the whole thing, but when I looked up Columbia, South Carolina housing payment standards, I simply looked up Columbia housing payment standards, and you can see that the rents for Columbia, South Carolina popped right up. Here you see that the payment standards listed out by bedroom count in the city of Columbia. Right here, you're going to be able to see that they listed out the HUD FMR, which, right, we always talk about the FMR, looking that up on a smart area fair market rent website, but Columbia adjusts upwards their payment standards, which usually includes utilities. So you can see that for a 3-bedroom property, including utilities, they would allow you to rent it out for $19.14. Now, when this person posted this deal, they highlighted as that it cash flows and is low entry. Sure, might it cash flow if you do a different exit strategy? Yes. However, if your exit strategy is Section 8, specifically for affordable housing, well, you can just quickly compare the rent that we saw on that page with the PITI. And in my opinion, this is not cash flow. In addition, if you really think about it, right, if your rent, even your market rent, whatever you want to rent it out for in that Section 8, which I'm assuming this person is assuming that the rent is higher, well, where is your set-asides for maintenance? Where is your set-aside for CapEx reserves? Because you know something's going to break at the home. Where is your set-asides for property management? And where's your set-aside for vacancy? Because someone always moves out. So in my opinion, that's at least 20% of this. So even if you just do 20% off of $2,300, that's $1,900. There's no way to deal cash flow. So just be aware when people post deals that says it cash flows, because if you underwrite correctly with the right assumptions, you're not really taking home $2,300 minus $2,054. You have to have repairs. So just don't be misled when people just say cash flow. Now, the plus of this deal is that it is $30,000 entry fee, but let's go ahead and walk you through the math. I'm simply showing you how I quickly rule out that, hey, if someone ever sent me a deal, I look at this, and I say, not a deal, not worth my time. I spent less than 1 minute on that. And this is going to be so important as you get used to underwriting, so you can quickly rule out deals so you don't burn out. We burn out whenever we analyze deals and do all this work for no results. So as soon as you get your process down, that's what I would do. So let's just say, let's go through the entire underwriting process, right? If I looked at this property, what I would do is I would quickly look at the condition of the property. Flooring looks great. For an affordable housing rental, this is probably mid to upper in terms of quality. Maybe you got to do some, replace the flooring here. Replace the flooring there. I don't really like carpet. That's my personal choice. And maybe some paint. So for this property, let's go ahead and plug in some numbers, right? I even checked it on topapp.com because usually I look at the neighborhood crime score. So whenever I go to topapp.com, I plug in the address, go to neighborhood section right here, and then you will see the crime score right here, which says it is 29. I live in an area that's about an 88. So that's what I use as my baseline benchmark. If I'm willing to live there, then chances are a good tenant would want to live there for a longer time. The more high the crime score, chances are they're not going to be staying there for as long. So you will probably see higher vacancy expenses, right? So on this property, we got the condition of the home. We got the rent for the home, which is right here at $19.14. So let's go ahead and plug in the numbers here. So on this deal, we're assuming that the purchase price is $335,000. Let's plug these numbers in, 335,000. This property is 2,700 square feet. So I'm only going to set aside some money to paint the place. I'm going to set aside $1,500 for the roof, because usually there's some sort of issues with the roof. Maybe it's just like a small patch. I'm not even replacing the roof. I am putting aside 2,700 square feet to paint the place at $3 a square foot. I am only going to replace the flooring on 3 rooms roughly from what I saw. So let's just assume it's 150 square feet per room and multiply that by 3 rooms. That's 450 square feet. Put equal signs in there. I am not going to renovate any kitchen. Let me zero some of these items out. I am going to replace 2 of the toilets with high pressure flush toilets, because that's my own personal preference. I don't like getting clogged toilet calls. And that equals to roughly a 17 grand rehab on this property. Okay. Now, my monthly rent here is going to be $1,914. All right. My PITI is $2,054. Let me see if I can get the actual details for this property. So if you go to PropStream, you plug in the address, and then you click on the details button. Then if there is an existing loan subto, which according to wholesale there is, you just click on a mortgage and transaction history line. And usually you can see whether or not there is a underlying loan. Here's the underlying loan, but I'm not seeing the details there. Maybe this is one of the states that don't disclose it. Let's see. Recording date, first mortgage. Here it is. So here's your first mortgage amount. It's listed as 2.88% FHA loan, $319,000. Started in 12/1/2051. So let me just plug these numbers in. So the subto loan is 319,113. 319,113. The interest rate is 2.88, but the wholesaler said it was 3.25. So I'm going to believe the wholesaler in this situation and not use what I saw on PropStream, because I believe the wholesaler has better information than what's on PropStream. Sometimes PropStream gets it wrong, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We're just going to back into the total amount. How? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go to this property taxes line, and we're going to do equals the PITI, which is $2,054. I'm subtract the principal of the subto loan, and I'm subtract the interest of the subto loan. This gives me a balance of $665. So you don't have to be exact, right? You don't have to be exact. You just need to get close to the number. And then, because that includes some more taxes and insurance, I'm just going to bump up my insurance costs, because I assume that someone lived at this home as a primary resident. And if I get an additional insurance policy for this property as a rental, chances are the insurance policy is going to be a little bit more. All right. So that's why I'm going to add in $35 for the insurance number to increase my PITI. And at the end of the day, I'm going to assume that I have at least $200 of utilities for this property. That's probably light, to be honest with you. I got 10% for maintenance. I got 10% for property management, and I got 3% for vacancy. I'm keeping it low because it's in a very low crime area. This is me walking you through why, as is, this deal should lose you $815 if you rent it out for $1,914. Hopefully that makes sense, right? I quickly, because I've done this enough, I looked at the PITI, I looked at what they're claiming the rents were, but then I also looked at the Columbia payment standards and saw it was $1,914. I said, that's not even close to being a deal. Right? So I would have ruled it out a lot earlier than going through this entire process, but I wanted to show off you why that actually materializes into a deal that's clearly not a deal. I can look at a deal now, look at the rent, especially if my exit strategy is Section 8, and then I can quickly look at the PITI, and I say that's not worth my time. It's as simple as that. But I want to walk you guys through the process so you guys can see it. Now, sometimes we might say, well, what if we can increase the rent on this property? How can we increase the rent? Well, maybe you say, hey, what if you add an additional bedroom and you got $2,300 of rent? Okay, well, if I got $2,300 in rent because I added an extra bedroom, let's just say I use existing square footage and it costs me 10 grand to use existing square footage to frame an additional room. So my rehab is now 27,000, right? I have to invest money to get additional rent creatively. I might, let's see, if it's extra person, let's at least increase utilities a little bit. Now, instead of losing $8, I'm losing $568. Still not a deal. Now, if you were to say, hey, I would like to live on this property because it's a low entry fee and I get depreciation, sure, that's fine. That's absolutely okay. But that's not even close to being a deal. And I don't even care about the cash on cash return yet because it was so negative cash flow. If you truly plug in the entry fee, which they said was $30,000, right? $30,000. And did that include closing costs? Entry fee includes assignment fee, agent commission, and clash of seller. It doesn't even include closing costs yet. So you add another 2.5% for closing costs. And now all of a sudden you're all in on this deal for 27 grand for the rehab, $8,000 for the closing costs, $30,000 for your entry fee. Now, even if you got to 4 bedrooms, this is a negative 10.3% cash on cash return with a negative $568 cash flow. All right. Hopefully that helps you all understand and gauge how you can quickly assess a creative deal to see if it's cash flowing. Now, are there still buyers for deals like this? Sure, absolutely. Somebody might buy this deal and live in it as a primary residence or a homestead. Some people might wrap this deal to somebody and say, okay, I'm going to sell to a penalty box owner because I can take over this loan at 3.25%, but I can wrap it to somebody and sell to them at 7%. But hopefully I can get back another $30,000 down payment. So essentially I make the difference on the delta, right? If I get a $30,000 down payment back from a wrap buyer, then I can sell it to them at an 8% loan, and I make the spread between 8% and 3.25%. That's called a wrap. But that's not my exit strategy. I do not want to do that. But that might be a deal for somebody else. So that's why there's so many different ways for you to turn something into a deal. But it's very important for you to understand what your exit strategy is, what you want to specialize in, and ultimately, how do you quickly roll out deals? Because again, the whole point is to avoid burnout. If you look at the deal that was posted and you look at the payment standards that were pulled off right by Googling Columbia Housing Authority payment standards, and usually it will come up. You can look up the city or the county, but usually in the past, we've looked it up by using the HUD FMR. This was not the case. So that's how I quickly ruled out a deal. And just to kind of summarize everything we did, right? First things first, you can rule out a deal, look at the PITI, look at the rents, rule it out. But if you want to underwrite it further, what I typically do is understand the condition of the home, which means I go through the photos. I do a street view of the property to see if there's any boarded up homes, see what kind of neighborhood's in. This was a great neighborhood. I confirmed that by looking up the crime score on topapp.com, on tophap.com, and I got the great crime score of 29. So I knew it was a safe neighborhood. But I looked at the rent, I underwrote the deal by first plugging in the purchase price, the rehab, the rent that I saw. I backed into the subto loan, which I pulled from PropStream and also from the information I got from the wholesaler. I used the PITI and I backed into the delta, which means I got the property taxes and insurance number by subtracting the total PITI and subtracting the subto loans principal and interest payments. And then I added $35 for the insurance payment. And then I added my other expenses, which included my maintenance and CapEx, right? Because something always breaks at your home. I added utilities because payment standards include utilities, and you got to subtract them if you don't provide any. I got my property management, and I got my vacancy because someone always moves out eventually. No one is going to live at your home forever. So there needs to be at least some vacancy. That's how I got my negative cash flow, and that's how I quickly ruled out the deal. And if you still don't believe me, well, you can add in the entry cost, the entry fee, which is 30 grand without what was given by the wholesaler. And then we had the closing costs and our renovations, which we upped it to 27.5K because we were using bedroom rents for a 4-bedroom property. And then we slowly just subtracted it and realized that, hey, it's not a deal at a 3-bedroom. It's not a deal at a 4-bedroom, even if we added a little bit more money to creatively add an extra bedroom. So that's it. Hopefully you guys found this useful. And thanks for joining me on a Friday night to underwrite some deal. Just remember, at the end of the day, all we're doing is underwriting deals every single day. We're creating a good habit. And the whole point and the whole reason why I'm doing this is so that if you don't know where to start, all you have to do is copy my homework. If you just analyze the same deal I analyzed today, put it on your own spreadsheet, post it on your own YouTube channel. Well, guess what? If you do this every day for 365 days, for just 18 minutes, you're going to have a YouTube channel of 365 videos. And if you're asked by a partner and they ask you, why is this the deal? You just point it to your own YouTube channel. And you say, I know this is a deal because I looked at the past 365 deals and they were all not deals. That's how I know this is a deal. And also it gives you a chance to prove to yourself that you know what you're doing. Because when it comes time for you to pull the trigger, you're going to be thinking about, man, is this really a deal? And the only way you're going to have that confidence is you look back at your own YouTube channel and say, hey, I know what I'm doing because I also analyzed 100 deals or 365 deals in a row. And this is how we create a habit. I originally set out to go live for 100 days in a row, but hey, the habit formed. So now I'm doing this every single day. And whenever I don't do a deal and analyze the deal live every single day, it feels weird. So here's why I'm analyzing a deal at 8:30 on a Pacific Coast on a Friday night. Because once a habit's formed, there's no excuses. You just keep doing it and you do it and you do it. Hey, you're so welcome, Freddie. I appreciate it. So please just listen to what I analyzed today. Copy it. Take one part I explain and explain it better on your YouTube channel, because that's the whole point. It's for all of us to get better together, for us to lift each other up and solve this affordable housing problem together. So this is not a solicitation for any investments, not investment advice. You're going to have your own criteria and your own exit strategies. But it starts with just compiling the reps and letting it compound. When you start your own YouTube channel, just share it with me. I'll be one of your first subscribers. I know how hard it is to grow a following, and I'm here to support you. Just do it with me, guys. It's supposed to be hard. And more importantly, it's going to be lonely. You're going to be in this weird position where you're moving on from your old friends, you're moving on to a new group of friends, and it's going to feel lonely. But that's why we have a community together called the Affordable Housing and Real Estate Investing Community. And within our podcast, we brought in folks from single-family home investors all the way to multifamily and ground-up construction developers so that you can decide what career path you want to choose. Right? I'm sure all of us have said at some point, hey, I just want to help people. Right? Have you guys said that before? Well, when you ask that question next time, ask yourself one layer deeper for a question. Who do you want to help and how do you want to help them? I chose affordable housing as my way of helping. And in order to help as many people as possible, guess what? I'm going to need everyone's help. And the only way I can engage and enroll other people in this mission is by giving first. And that's why I analyze deals every single day. And I understand that, hey, sometimes people feel scared because they don't know what options they have. Sometimes people feel anxiety because they don't know what to pick. Well, now you have a choice. You just copy my homework, analyze the same deal using the same spreadsheet. Just DM me your email at investwithkenhe if you want to copy the spreadsheet. I've been very fortunate being given a spreadsheet by other folks, from many folks, and just combine them into my own version because I underwrite these deals very specifically and tailored to my approach for my partners. So I'm here to help. Just DM me if you need any help. And hey, have an amazing Friday, everybody. I hope you guys spend some quality time with your family and friends. And I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 147. All right. Have an amazing night, everybody. Talk to you tomorrow.